Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our presentation today, Social Project Management, Adapting to the Change. Before we get started, we have just a couple of quick logistics that we want to cover. First off, we are expecting a very large audience today, so unfortunately we will not be able to open the lines for questions. However, we have a wonderful webinar extraordinaire on the other end, Morgan Meyer, and she'll be facilitating today's presentation and can answer questions via the chat module should you have any questions as we go through. You can also feel free to either reply to the webinar emails you've been receiving via GoToWebinar, which will come directly to me, or you can send an email to me directly and I'll be happy to answer your questions as well. My email information is located at the bottom of the screen. That being said, the lines will be muted throughout the presentation. If for some reason that thing called other work starts calling you during the webinar, no problem. We will be distributing the recording of the presentation to all registrants following the webinar. And then finally, for those of you who need PDU information, we'll be giving you that information at the conclusion of the presentation as well. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. For today's agenda, we'll be covering the following topics. First and foremost, what is social project management and how is it changing the way we manage projects today? As project management disciplines evolve, we do too. Secondly, understanding where project management is going is critical, especially in addressing the routes that we take as PMs to align with these changes. What new skills do we need to cope with these changes? This is key because we all know that it's a rapidly changing world. It doesn't wait for us to be ready before it continues to evolve. Especially in technology, if we're going to stay ahead, we must have an innovative mindset, and we definitely must be willing to adapt. And lastly, the tools we use for project management are only as strong as its user base, and what I mean by that is simply this. If you have a PMO in your organization utilizing 350 resources, and only 10 of them are using the tool, how much value will you really get out of it? So with that, let's go ahead and get into the details. So what is social project management? Let's start off with the Wikipedia definition. Wikipedia defines social project management as a non-traditional way of organizing projects and performing project management. In its simplest form, it's the outcome of the social networking paradigm that we're all familiar with to the context of project ecosystems. And then, of course, the continued response to the movement toward distributed and virtual teams, which is very present in the world today. In today's project management, it's nearly impossible to meet objectives, milestones, etc., without the participation of everyone in your organization. The bottom line is that distributed teams lose significant communication value when they're not given the appropriate tools to collaborate. It's also a new way of thinking that empowers team accountability, which is a little different than the old way of doing things, which is where the ownership of project resides purely on the PM alone. It also exposes expertise within your organization. In addition, it's very traditional now to not only have internal teams collaborate, but also external teams such as customers, vendors, etc. Social project management is most often enabled by the use of collaborative software, PPM tools with social features, and many times that software has been inspired in part through the new social media world we live in. It is not managing projects using social media tools. This is a very common misconception, and we're going to cover that today. It's simply a new approach to managing projects. As with any new approach or tool set, there will be adoption barriers that need to be overcome. Just because you build it actually does not mean they'll come. Social project management has many of the same barriers that you might find with any enterprise project management solution. The first adoption barrier is stakeholder management. So when you have a collaborative software or PPM solution with social features, one solution rarely fits the needs of all users. An enterprise system typically isn't tailored to meet all user needs, which is funny because an enterprise system or process is just that, right? It's a tool that's supposed to be shared and used by the entire organization. The problem is that most teams in an organization work differently. They have different processes, they follow different leaders, and they have different areas of work focus, which results in different work. In social project management, it's about empowering teams. You can still need to have enterprise standards that must be met, but you must also allow for additional customizations to meet the needs of individual teams, departments, and users. If each user understands that the tool or process will meet their needs, resolve their pain points, obviously everyone wins. Make sure you can answer the question for every stakeholder if they were to ask you, what's in it for me? This is a very important question to consider when you're defining requirements. Usability equals success in any enterprise system. The data outputs are only as good as what goes into the tool. The second adoption barrier is work management. A social project management system, or even a project management system in general, rarely accommodates all other work that affects your project's resources. For example, if you go into your project management system, where can I find my service request ticket that is affecting my ability to complete my project tasks on time? Remember, we aren't reinventing the wheel here of basic project management best practices. We're just taking a new social approach. There are several components of project management that are essential in any PM tool, and the most important one, in my mind, is resource management. If you can't effectively manage your resources, how will you end up with a quality product within budget and delivered on time? And of course, the reality is you really can't. In order to perform the resource management functions needed to obtain project success, you must capture all work. All work within an organization, all work that affects your resources, not just project tasks. In addition, teams must be able to collaborate on all work without having to leave one system and go to another system of record. Let's say that Jim and Bill work for your organization and they're working on your project and you can't figure out why they're so far behind on their task. You go into the PM system and you see that they're only 50% allocated to 3 projects combined. A couple of issues here. As a PM, that doesn't give you any insight needed to effectively manage your resources. It also doesn't help Jim and Bill with productivity because most likely they have a different system for every type of work they're managing. Social project management, again, is there to empower users. It promotes productivity. Your system and processes must accommodate all work that affects your resources. If you can remove the silos of information spread across the organization and accommodate all work in one solution, not only does it increase productivity, but you could potentially reduce significant cost in several areas, eliminating unnecessary infrastructures, reducing the need for dedicated system expertise, and removing the ongoing expense of maintaining and the maintenance of redundant systems. The third adoption barrier that we're going to discuss today relates to the resistance of change. Enforcing new processes and tools at a rapid pace can easily cause resistance that often comes with the fear of the unknown. Your resources are used to using the productivity tools that they work in today that work for them. You know, creating a tool and then creating processes that align with it will almost always fail, right? So take your current processes that you have today and find a tool that will map to them. And then you build a roadmap of progression that's easy to bite off moving forward. Too much complexity and too much change too soon, as you know, will only introduce adoption risk. For example, let's look at social tools specifically. How does your team communicate and work today? It's very important to understand. If 60% of your organization relies on Outlook for task management and communication, finding a tool that allows for that integration will be key for adoption. Same thing goes for those in your organization that are chronic social networkers, which, as you know, that's growing fiercely today. Give them comment streams to communicate with while they're working on their projects and other work. What if you have team members that use Excel to manage some of their work? And of course, trust me, it's still a very, very common tool. We see it all the time with clients. Allow them to bring in their Excel files to their PPM collaboration environment and you'll see better adoption across the board. The tagline here that I like to use is to work the way you want to work. Again, it will ultimately expose expertise, empower efficiencies, and promote productivity. So what do you use social project management software for? The word collaborate can seem somewhat ambiguous. If you're going to tell your organization that you have a new system for collaboration, for example, they might not know what you mean. If you told them you had a new system that would allow everyone to manage their work in a centralized location and would help them collaborate with each other in a more effective social way in order for them to become more productive, that might resonate a little more with users. The key to success is understanding the needs of every user. If your organization is made up of, for example, a sales department, product development, marketing, services, etc., make sure that each team has a community that has relevant data specific to their area, that they can use the processes or methodologies that make sense for their specific work focus, and they don't have to spend more time jumping from system to system than actually getting the work done. Some businesses might be afraid to use a social approach to project management because they think of all the social media out there, social media tools out there today, such as Facebook. You know, when you go into Facebook, users are discussing freely what's going on in their everyday life at any given time. You know, what new restaurant did they try, where did they travel to recently, even the latest and greatest award that their child just won at school the other day. So the reality is that knowing information about others builds trust and it builds relationships. Social project management is not managing projects with Facebook, and its purpose is not to share every detail about our everyday work lives or personal lives. It is about empowering users, generating status, establishing experts, and allowing others to learn. So relationship transparency can create a very positive working environment. Relationships, as you know, are very important in getting work done and promoting a productive team environment, which is very important. Naturally, as we all do it, if we haven't met someone, we may form our own opinion based on the limited information we have. Through social software, teams get to know each other, and in return, it makes us realize the value of each work colleague and the benefit they may have on us getting our own work done, which is critical in productivity. In addition to building communities, allowing individuals' profiles, for example, can help establish similarities between coworkers and in return create positive working relationships amongst your teams. So the bottom line here is don't underestimate the value of sharing information among colleagues. So to do a quick recap of everything we've talked about so far to ensure you have the proper keys to success in adapting to the SPM approach, let's go ahead and cover each one of those. First, there must be value for every user. As I mentioned before, make sure you know the answer to the question, what's in it for me, for every stakeholder, every user that's using the tool, every role that's using the tool, make sure that you can answer that question. How are they working now so you can actually interpret what would help them out moving forward through social technology. Change the typical you must use this tool mentality to the I want to use this tool mentality. Second, understand your target audience and who will be using the tool. You need to adapt organizational behaviors to the tool, not the other way around. I went to a Gardner presentation on social project management at their PPM Summit last year. They said that 15 to 18% of your audience will be a collaborative audience. It seems like a relatively low number. 13% or so will never be collaborative or social, but 70% are in the middle and can be influenced by peers and by management. So how can peers and management influence? You've all heard this saying, you are your own best case study. Use the tool. Don't enable your users to stay in the old mode. Share your experiences and be an advocate, for example. You need to leverage that 15% to influence the other 70% to become more social and collaborative so that they too can be more productive. Third, social project management tools with vague goals fail. Don't force users into functionality. It's about helping them understand how that functionality will benefit them in their everyday productivity. I don't know if most of you remember, but when Twitter was introduced, did you actually know how to use the tool or even what the tool was used for? Chances are, once you understand the purpose, it's more likely that you'll not only use the tool, but that you might even become a power user. So purpose is key here. Make it better than the tools and processes used today. I think this is a critical one. Think how many systems your users use today. How often do they need to go hunt down information within those systems? Bring information to your users so that they can solve their own problems, get work done, and feel good about their accomplishments throughout the day when they go home at night. It's actually been said that any new technology introduced must be 10 times better than what's used today in order for it to be adopted. Sounds like a big number, but always keep that in mind when implementing a new tool set. Make it easy for the users so they can spend less time managing the work and more time getting the work done. Leverage social tools to share knowledge, best practices, and to collaborate. Establish key roles needed to ensure success. Very similar to outside communities, you must have a leader, for example, the social PM. Someone who clearly understands the goals of social projects, knows the mechanics of the tool set, and can help remove obstacles for the users. The visitors that come to your community need to have a good experience. They need to be able to find the information they're looking for easily. You know, if a user visits a system 3 times and can't find the information they're looking for, they'll never return. The workers or users will keep the community alive with knowledge, expertise, and relevant content. Promote active participation. This is a new approach that requires an entirely new way of thinking. How many times you have to do something before it becomes routine? A lot, right? So it's the same concept here. Make it fun, encourage participation, make sure everyone understands how the tool will make their everyday work lives better and more efficient. And then lastly, a very important key, build trust. When social projects fail, trust is usually at the core of the problem. Social communication is not hierarchical. It's an open form of communication, and sometimes people say things that we don't like. The answer is not to shut down a tool that 99% of the organization likes because someone's misbehaving. You're going to have that in any environment. Know what you'll do when inappropriate things happen and how you will encourage the behavior you want. Putting everyone on the tool and making them reachable for collaboration, with the exception of the leadership team, is not the answer. Again, you have to build trust and form relationships, and it's important that everybody uses the tool. Before we jump into a demo of social project management tools, let's take a look at some of the benefits that can be realized through social project management. Again, these are just examples. There are many areas in which your organization can benefit from leveraging the SPM approach. In an all-work environment, meaning projects as well as all other work, every user should be able to access the information they need when they need it. Again, without having to leave one system and go to another. Centralized data can save your organization time and money. If you're able to provide valuable information within the tool for every single user that allows them to perform their work better and faster, it definitely will be a win-win for everyone. In the essence of time, I know we just kind of put this slide up, but we need to keep moving to get into the demo. And again, I'll send these slides out following the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Matt Willey, one of our product specialists here at EPM Live, and he's going to walk you through some social project management tools that you can use when implementing SPM within your organization. The tools include communities, my work module, comment streams, notification and alerts, ideation, shoutouts, user customizable dashboards, and a Yammer integration. Again, this is just a subset of tools. There are many, many tools that you can use for SPM. So with that, Morgan, I'm going to have you hand it over to Matt.
All right. Thank you very much, Heather. All right, so the first thing we're going to start with here is communities. So I am in our EPM Live demo sites here. I am in the projects community currently, and if I click my drop down here, you can see that there's multiple communities available. So what a community really is a way to target data within the system and target different functionality within the system to different groups of people. You can do that by role, you can do that by division, department, that's really up to you, but really it just allows a way to target data better. So for instance, if I'm a project manager and I come into the system, I may come into this projects community and I can see things like portfolios, projects, tasks, issues, so on and so forth. Whereas if I'm a team member, I may not care so much about portfolios and projects. I might just want to see what I'm working on. So there's a community here called My Workplace that I can switch to. And when this comes up, I'll have things like my work, my timesheet, to-do items, my time off, shout-outs, things that are a little bit more important to me, as well as the homepage is different. So each community has its own homepage, so you may have noticed that this looks a little bit different than the projects community, so that you can more fine-tune the data in the system to meet the needs of the different groups of people out there instead of trying to force everything onto everyone. So it really allows a way to virtually separate things out so that it can be more meaningful to different groups of people. The next feature that we'll talk about here is My Work. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So My Work really allows you, and it's not just team members, it can be anyone, but all of your work can all filter into one place to allow you to engage your work and to be able to status it and comment on it, and we'll talk about some of those other features. But it really gives you a place where you can see everything that you need to do and manage your work yourself. Instead of having someone else dictating, this is exactly what you're going to do, people can assign you tasks and issues and risks and backlog items and service requests, and there's lots of different types of work that can be generated out of an organization, out of a business. And it's really hard to manage all of that. So what My Work really helps a user to do is it empowers them to be able to manage all of their own work and prioritize and figure out how they're going to get it done. So what you can see here is I have different types of work in My Work. I have a backlog, I have issues, I have concepts, I have tasks, lots of different types coming in. And then if you have a lot of work, there's even a search option, so you can go and you can search through it and figure out the different, find the items that you're looking for. As well as there's a feature called Working On. So you can say, I have 8 different work items here, or 100 different work items here, or how many ever work items, but right now I'm only going to work on, say, 5 of them. So I can come in and I can say I'm working on this one, I'm not working on that one, I'm working on this one. And then you can switch your view up in the top. I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to switch it to the Working On It view. And when it does that, it's just going to show me all of the items that I'm currently working on. So it allows you to make it a more manageable list of work to do. Once you're done, you can then comment on items and you can complete items. So the next thing I'll talk about is comments. Anything within the system can be commented on. So work items, I can select one of my work items. I can hit comments here, and it's going to load up this screen. And then I can say, okay, I'm not sure I quite understand this, and you can type in a little note and you can post that. You can CC other people, so if there's someone else that's not involved in this comment stream, it's not the person that assigned the task to you, you can say, hey, I want to copy them on it too, they're part of this, and so you can copy multiple people there and start to really get a good communication stream going. And really help drive the work and get it done and make sure people know it needs to be done and help that socialness all come together. It's not just work items that you can do that on. You can do that on any item in the system. So projects, tasks, issues, anywhere in the system you can do a comment. And that will all file into, we have a comment stream. So there's a comment stream that shows basically all of your latest conversations that are going on. So I went back to my home page here. I have my comment stream, and I can see I have a few different conversations going on here. I've commented to things. From within the comment stream, you can actually reply to different, if people reply to you, it'll show up there, and then you can reply back to them and hit comment, and that'll, keep the stream going. As well as when you comment, it ties into our notifications and alerts. So lots of things in the system generate notifications and alerts to make sure that people understand what's being asked of them, things that are going on in the system. It keeps them aware of the different activities that are going on in the system. So up in the top right here, there's a notification center. I can go ahead and click on that, and you can see right now it's blinking with 12, and it says 12. That means I have 12 new notifications. So I can click on that, and then I'll see here that I have lots of different things waiting for me. Project deliverables, build project plan has been assigned to me, so I have some assignments of work. Lots of different things can show up in here. You can see that maybe you need to process the updates to your project plan if you're a project manager. Lots of different notifications, and they all filter into one place and really allow you to manage and be aware of what's going on and manage expectations and those types of things through the system in a more social way. Another thing is when all of that happens, you don't just get a notification, you also get an email. So just in case if you're not logging into the system regularly, you also get an email that might help you to get involved and pull you back into the system to go make updates. And it makes it really easy from the notification. There's links and things in the emails so that you can link right back to where you need to be instead of going and trying to find that and having to look through all types of data. It links you right to where you want to be. If a task gets assigned to you, you get a notification. In the notification, there's a link right to that task, so you don't have to try so hard to go find things. Makes it really easier to engage the system. There's also alerts within the system. So for instance, I'm going to switch my community here, and I'm going to go to the ideas community. On any particular item or list within EPM Live, you can set an alert, and I'll show you how to do that really quick here. So for instance, here's an idea within the system, and we'll talk about the ideation app a little bit more in just a second. But I can come in here and I can say, okay, that's great. I have, there's an idea here, but I want to go ahead and generate an alert on it. So I can click on that item. And this is an idea that, I'm interested in. So I might want to know what goes on with it when it changes, so on and so forth. So you can see here's comments just to tie that back, and you can comment from any place in the system. As well as there's an Alert Me button here. I'm going to go ahead and click on Alert Me. And then I can set up a personal alert for myself. I can receive it by email, or if you have it set up, you can set it to text messages, actually, so you can receive text messages on your mobile phone. And you can pick. I want to see when anything changes. I want to see someone else changes an item. Lots of different options here to say when I want to see alerts from this particular list or item. You can even make it so that you don't get the notifications immediately, that instead you get a daily summary at the end of the day at a certain time. So you could pick daily summary, pick the time, and then it would send you kind of a block email of all of the different things that have changed during the day that you have set to alert for you. So it's a really cool feature to help you get involved in not only everything in the system, but things that are meaningful to you in the system, things that you care about, things that may affect what you need to do or the way you work. So you may have noticed that we switched into the ideas community. So the ideation app is actually a really great tool that you can add into your EPM Live system to encourage some social practices within your organization. Basically, the Ideas app allows anyone within the tool, within EPM Live, to submit ideas, and then those ideas can be voted on. So you can see here I have a few different ideas. Switch office chairs with new ergonomic adjustable chairs, make Fridays casual Fridays. Anything that you want can really go into this ideas list. So it's encouraging people to help in the process of, what should we do? What do you think would be good? This could be directed towards a specific project. This could be directed towards the entire business. It could be for just a single department. And so it's very easy for them to do. They just come into the ideas area, they hit new item, and then they can put in a title, a category. So I can say this is just for a project or a product or a department or a business, and you can make these categories whatever you'd like them to be. You can put in a little bit more detailed description about your idea, and then you can even add followers to your idea. So if you know there's someone that might specifically be interested in this idea, or maybe they helped you come up with the idea, then you can actually add people in here. I can say, okay, Adam Barr, he's a good guy. He's interested in this idea. I'm going to go ahead and add him in, or my manager, or whoever it may be. So you can actually call attention to that idea a little bit more to certain groups of people and help get them involved as well. Once you have some ideas in the system, people can actually start voting on those ideas. So I'm in the All Ideas view here. There's an Ideas by Creator view. There's a Most Voted view, different ways to look at it. But basically, you can then come and say, okay, this looks like a good idea. I want to see the details about it, so you can come in here, you can review the idea, and you can say, oh, there's a detailed description of it. That sounds good. I like that. I'm going to go ahead and vote on that. And then you can hit the vote button, and you'll actually vote on that idea. And then once a vote receives a certain amount of, once an idea receives a certain amount of votes, it will actually become a concept. So, there's lots of ideas within an organization. There may be 1,000 ideas that come in over a specific time period. It's hard to really filter through all that. So you're engaging your team to help filter through that. And by, there's basically a threshold set. So when you get a certain amount of votes, it gets converted into a concept. So a concept then has a little bit more stature to it. It's a little bit more, it's something that a lot of people like. So let's look into this. Let's see, if this is something that we really want to do. So with a concept, I'll go ahead and edit one of these concepts here. It has a little bit more information about it. It's not just a title and a description and a category. It does copy in all of that information for you, but there's some more information that you can then fill out. You can fill out things like who is this assigned to, so who's actually going to build this concept out a little bit more. You can put a priority on concepts. You can put a start date, a due date. Benefits, you can describe briefly the benefits. You can even give it a high-level budget if you want to start doing things like that. You can say, does this fit in our business initiatives? Is this strategically aligned to our goals? Cost reduction, so on and so forth. So you can start to really build a little bit more of a business case around that idea as a concept. Then you can look at all of your concepts and you can say, okay, which ones look really good? Which ones do we possibly really want to do? And once you do that, there's actually a workflow that you can convert then one of these concepts into a project. It would be a proposed project at that point, and then you could start to do your detailed cost planning and your detailed resource planning. Do we actually have the resources to do it, and all those types of things. But really this app allows you to help get your team members and just anybody, stakeholders in general, into the system, involved in coming up with what are we going to do as a company, where do we want to go, and what are some good ideas. Another great app within the system that you can add is the Shoutouts app to help get people involved and socially participating. I'm going to jump back to the My Workplace community, is where this app was added. The Shoutouts app is a really great app. It's actually became really popular here at our company, at EPM Live. It's been used very widely within our portal. But basically the idea of Shoutouts is that you can enter a shoutout for someone else who did something good. So for instance, Heather, who was speaking to you a little bit earlier, maybe she did a really good webinar this morning and she did a really great job presenting to you. So I could come in here, I could say new item, and I could say, Heather did a great webinar, right? Type that in. You can say who it's for, so I'd find Heather in here. I can even copy their manager if I'd like. I can put them in there, so it raises a little bit more awareness to their, whoever's managing them, so that they can get a little bit of credit for that. And then you can put a little bit more detailed description. And then what we actually did here is we set up a simple notification workflow that allows when someone receives a shout out, it actually emails the entire company and says, hey, look who did something good, and here's a description of what they did good. So it's a really cool app to help bring awareness and help people feel like they're doing good things, right? And help bring give more of an incentive to people without having to, always be money or, a gift card or, things like that. It's kind of cool just to get shout-outs throughout the day, and you can, see who's getting the most shout-outs and things like that. Another very good tool within the system, and I'm going to jump back to my projects community here, that allows people to really engage the system and see the information they want and make it a little bit more user-tuned, is dashboards. There's user customizable dashboards. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the projects list here just to show a specific dashboard. And within the tool, there's lots of different dashboards within projects, tasks, issues, all over the place. But I'm going to go ahead and pull my view drop down here, and I'm going to go to the project dashboard. And basically, there's some pre-built dashboards, but these dashboards are also customizable. But not only that, they're interactable by a user. And the way that we do that is through this filter web part up at the top is one of the ways. So for instance, I'm looking at this dashboard, and in previous technologies, a dashboard was a dashboard, and it was the way that it was. It was the way that it was programmed to be. But now you can do things like, I don't necessarily need to see this dashboard for all projects. I'm only interested in my project or a specific project. So I can come over here and I can say, I only want to see active projects. And then I'll let that refresh. And then over here, it's going to show me all the different active projects. And oh, there's my project. I just want to see that one. Or maybe I want to see a whole portfolio of projects. I might pick 5 of them or whatever it might be. You hit filter, and then it's going to update this whole page based on the filter that you select. So it's really a user customizable dashboard, right? I get to see the information that I want to see, and it helps me engage in the system a little bit more. It makes me want to use it more. So that's a really cool tool, as well as there's also an interactive bubble chart within the system. So it's a similar concept. I have this bubble chart here that's going to show me my different projects. And let me switch to a different site real quick here, Folio Engine. But basically, you can see over on the right while I'm loading up this other site that you can switch the actual settings of the bubble chart virtually while you're using it. So instead of, if I want to see the size of the bubbles, I don't want to see that, that by budget. Maybe I want to see that by costs instead. So it makes it so that you can interact with the system a little bit more. I'm just going to go ahead and go back into projects here, and I'm going to switch to my bubble dashboard. There we go. So just to demonstrate how that works, over on the right, it shows me all the different pieces of data that are being used to this bubble chart, and it's interactive in the sense that I can say, okay, I don't, the size of these bubbles right now is being determined by budget. I don't really care about budget so more. That's not what I'm focused on. I'm focused on costs, so I can switch it to that. I can hit apply, and now it'll actually update my dashboard so I can see information that's more relevant to me. Now the bubble sizes are built based on cost. So it's kind of a cool way to interact with the system. And we built that into other areas as well, into some of the different SSRS, SQL reporting services, reports, and things like that as well. But just, things like that help a user get more in tune and, make the system more usable for them, allow them to really get in there and collaborate. All right, the next thing that we're going to speak about, I'm just going to switch here to a different window, is a tool called Yammer. So you may be familiar with Yammer. Yammer was recently purchased by Microsoft for a very large sum of money. So it's definitely something that they see has a lot of value, and we see that as well. And basically, Yammer allows you to not only comment on different items within the system, but really have a stream of just what's going on in the company. And you can more fine-tune that by creating different streams within Yammer, different groups, so that you can say, well, here's the app stream, and here's the different groups, the IT stream, and things like that. But really, what we've done, and we actually started using this in our portal as well, is that you can, within EPM Live, you can drop basically a form web parts on top of any page. So this is the home page of the products community here. So I have some other web parts down below. And you can drop this anywhere you want. You can make its own page or however you'd like it. But basically what it's showing me here is a stream of just everything that's going on with our company. EPM Live goes pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, different things like that. So everybody can post their streams in here, and then we kind of know what's going on with the company. It helps keep us involved and aware of what's going on. And anytime you want to add something, you can actually add it from right within the system. No need to log into Yammer. I could add it right there and hit update and add that onto the stream. So it's kind of a cool way to interact with Yammer and bring that in. And so it's not just Yammer. There's other tools out there, lots and lots of tools that can connect and can be used to support this social methodology within your project management system. The last thing that I was going to show, we obviously don't have time to talk about everything today, but you can go to our App Store, and the way you do that is you go to epmlive.com and then you click on Apps. And then there's a section here, and if you just click the filter for this section, where is it? Social and collaboration. Here it is under the function tab. You can hit social and collaboration, and you can see we have lots of apps in the App Store. Things like we looked at today, we looked at ideation, which is down here somewhere. Did I pass it already? Maybe not. But anyway, you can see that there's lots of different apps in here. Here's Shoutouts. We were looking at Shoutouts. Lots of different apps. Oh, there's ideation. My work, a lot of the different things that we talked about. There's things like announcements announcements, so you can have an announcement board sitting on your home page so that people can see what's going on. Lots of different ways that you can get people to come interact with the system and be a lot more collaborative. And with that, I believe I'm going to turn it back over to Heather for us. There we go. All right.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt. See if I can, Morgan, can you make me the presenter? Thank you. There we go. Okay, perfect. So thanks again, Matt. Thank you guys for joining us today. I know everyone's busy. We really appreciate the time you spent with us. If you'd like to learn more about EPM Live, we welcome you to visit epmlive.com. From there, you can access trials. We've got a lot of future webinars coming up. I think the next one is on resource management and the resource management lifecycle, white papers, videos, etc. So check us out at epmlive.com. If you have questions regarding today's webinar, again, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. My contact information, I think, can be seen a little bit better. It sounds like from the chat panel that it was cut off on the first screen, so we apologize for that. You can see it there below. And then, of course, for those of you who need PDU information, the number is listed on the screen as well. It's 2750-020713. I do apologize. We went a little over, so hopefully you guys were able to hang in with us today. And with that, we'll say goodbye, and we look forward to next time. Have a great day.